Hi guys, Barbecue Jez here. Thanks for recently subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it, and also the engagement I've been getting on my social media. If you like what you've been seeing so far, please do continue to subscribe, and also feel free to get interactive and comment below on any future cooks you'd like me to do. Today we're actually going to be going through preparing some chicken wings. I've actually bought these from my local supermarket. I've also got some drumsticks that I'll be going through as well. I'm going to simply dry brine these to begin with. So I'm going to prepare the wings, just going to split them from the tip to the flat. And from there, I'm actually just going to simply season it with some salt and pepper in a bowl. And I do also have some drumsticks that I'll be dry brining as well. I've got some gloves on to make my life a bit easier for hygiene reasons when I'm going to be touching around in different food. I'll put links actually to some of the things I'm using today as before in the description if you're interested. And to kickstart, I've actually just opened these already just to make sure I can get through. I don't know about you, I sometimes find that pulling these just isn't the case. It's a bit of a lie. And to begin with, we're actually going to just, well, first, before I kind of zip forwards in terms of showing you how to do this, in this particular one, I've actually got the wing tips. They've already been taken off because they're supermarket bought, but I do still have the flat connected here. So the way it works, I'm actually going to be cutting straight through the bone. But if you've not done this before, a little tip that I found when I was beginning off, if you actually just cut down to begin with on the flat, from there, sorry for those who might be a little squeamish, you can actually invert the bones itself so you can see and start to get used to where it is you will need to cut in future. And from there, we simply have the two parts of the wings. So I'll probably leave this running and fast forward it as you saw before if you saw the charcoal video in terms of how to stack up the snake method for the briquettes, for the briskets. But I'm going to continue on and we'll fast forward it forwards. So I actually fast forwarded on that occasion. So what we'll do now is I'm just going to finish off what I was just preparing. So I've actually got my wings and everything. If I just bring this over, the wings over in the bowl, which I'll be seasoning just shortly. One last one to go just to finish off what we have here. And there we have it. We've got our wings in the actual bowl itself, ready for seasoning. I did mention though that I also had the drumsticks. So just going to quickly open up those. From there, personally, what I quite like to do is, I don't know if this is necessary, but I actually like to just give these a little bit of a score when it comes to prepping these. So I'm actually just going to leave these ones on the tray itself that I'm using right now. What I'll also be doing as we work through these later on, well, sorry, once I've dry brined them, when I put them on tomorrow, you'll notice, which I'll show you again, is actually I like to just put a little bit of like an oil on the outside. That just helps. So just to kind of reiterate, what we're doing is dry brining these overnight with salt and pepper. I'll actually be putting a different rub just before I put these onto the barbecue. You could season them with your favorite rub straight away, so you can do that if you want to. I'm just going to keep it simple on this particular cook. And I'll put probably a little, well, one or two rubs on, but actually I've decided I'm probably going to put some sauce on these ones. So I'll toss them in some bowls, which you'll see later on. And then I'll just show you how you can have different styles of your chicken. So we'll get to the next point from here. Okay, so for the next bit, it's going to move those out of the way. To begin with, I'm actually going to start off by seasoning with some salt to begin with. Just going to scatter that into the bowl itself. You might have noticed I actually took my black gloves off because admittedly I was finding it a bit of a challenge in between the shots. I'm obviously a little bit new to the game on this one, so I'm kind of going a little bit in a different direction to what I would normally do when it comes to managing the gloves and everything. So bear with me on that one. I'm sure I'll get the hang of it in the future videos. So I'm just putting a little bit of salt. What I'm actually going to do also is I'm going to be moving from the bowl onto a tray itself when it comes to dry brining these overnight. So I'm actually just using, for a bit of ease on this occasion, the bowl when it comes to seasoning these wings with my salt and my pepper. Okay, and we've got that there like that. And then if I just bring forwards my chicken itself, that's just going to go for the pinch effect on this one, just to season these up. I'm only going to worry about seasoning the one side of these ones, I think, because I'm going to be putting a rub on these ones tomorrow. So I'm going to be putting some rubs on the drumsticks themselves before I cook them. But with regards to the wings, I'm going to be putting those in some sauces. So I've got some bowls lined up for those, like I was just mentioning beforehand, and that's the thought process I was going with there to keep it a little bit different. So get the pepper. And there we have it. That is the chicken prepared, ready for tomorrow's cook. And I'll see you then. So we're going to use the Vortex today to get the crispy chicken. Just going to put that to one side, and we'll get some of our firelighters out, which I'll put links in the description below. Let's just put a couple of these out. We'll fill up the chimney. And then we'll simply light these up. And we'll come back, so we've got about a full chimney here in about 20 minutes or so to get things started. Okay, so once the briquettes are raring to go, as you can see here, I'm going to lift this up slightly. I'm going to put my Vortex in the middle. I'm just going to pour all the coal in. Oh, excellent. What we'll do now is we'll put the grate on. I'm actually going to leave that there, so put the wood on in just a moment. We'll leave that to heat up, so I can then quickly just clean it off with the scraper, as you've seen previously. And then we've actually got the wings and the drumsticks to get on in just a moment. Right then, just whilst that's coming up to heat, I've actually got this AO Angus and Oink feather duster that I'm going to use on the drumsticks. So I've got the drumsticks here and also the wings, which have been dry brining overnight. So I'm actually just going to quickly just give these a little scatter. I'm going to keep the actual wings themselves plain with just the salt and the pepper on this occasion. Reason for that is, you'll see later, I'm going to put them into some sauce. So I'm going to keep these as flavour. If you want to dip it in some ranch or anything like that, they can do so. And let's just finish this off. Okay, so these are going to be nice and seasoned. And if there's any bits that you can see, like getting the tops and everything, make sure everything's kind of covered. Just go through. And then in a minute, you'll see me putting these directly onto the charcoal. Okay, so we've got everything coming up to temperature now. It's sort of firing up sort of towards the 400 or so. I think it's probably worth mentioning, you probably would get probably a slightly higher temperature if I'd used lump wood charcoal as opposed to briquettes, but the briquettes is what I've got at the moment. What I'm going to do then now is I'm going to start off by just laying down the drumsticks that you saw previously. Obviously I have to make sure I keep things quite tight because I've got quite a few of the wings to go on as well. Like so. Okay, and then over to the wings themselves. Okay, I might probably just speed this up for the video your end. We've got quite a lot on here. fairness, it might be almost a bit too much, admittedly. Let's jump over there. And then we'll scatter a few just here. That with a dome. Just right then. And then finally, I'm also using today some of the apple wood chunk, the Weber apple wood chunk. I'm just going to put that in the center. I think just the one might do actually. And with that in mind, what we'll do is I'll start at 12 o'clock with the vents, and every 10 minutes we'll just turn it around as it starts smoking to make sure everything gets good smoke. And with that in mind, golden rule of thumb there, I'll probably be cooking for about 35 to 40 minutes in total. Okay, we'll come back in just a moment. Right then, let's see how we're getting on here. We're going to turn it. It's been 10 minutes. See, this is starting to smoke now. You already see a bit of colour actually on some of those wings. And what I'll probably do now is just come back when we've actually come towards the end of the cook. I'll be turning those every 10 minutes, every 10 minutes anyway, to make sure it's all getting that smoke. The idea is as the smoke comes up, it will go to all parts of the chicken on the grate itself. These look done. We've actually gone all the way around. So I've got a bowl. I'm actually just going to quickly whip all of these off. Just put them to one side. And we'll probably just fast forward this up as we go through this. Okay, so barbecue Jez from the future here, because unfortunately I realised my microphone wasn't working when editing this clip. So what I've actually done here is I've separated the wings into two bowls, and that's because I'm going to be tossing these in sauce. So I've got my favourite Frank's Red Hot Buffalo Wing Sauce for the one bowl, where I'm just going to pour a bit of a swig into there. And then for the second, I've got a Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce. It's one of my favourite that I like to use for things like steaks as well. It turns out, instead of just tossing these around, I decided to get my hand straight in there and mix this around to make sure everything got onto those chicken wings, and also doing the same but actually dicing those by moving the bowl around for the barbecue sauce. And there's a nice little shot for you there as well. I didn't do anything with the actual drumsticks. I used that for just dipping things like ranch in. But if you like what you saw today, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also feel free to follow me on my social media accounts such as Instagram and also TikTok. And what we've got next coming up is I've done a video which I've got in the works also going into some barbecue ribs. So stay tuned for that one in a week's time. Thank you.